Always, always. So much fun. Anyway, welcome to Transformations to Tara. And this is my guest today is Kayla Van Egdom. And Jason D. McKean is with us. Anyway, we are going to talk about Kayla and how she has been a health coach and she's been a fitness guru. And now she's coming into helping people reach their spiritual, fitness and their body image, canceling out all the shame. So, hey, welcome, Kayla.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here.
Yeah. How did you begin your journey in this, because you're an author, you're a podcaster, you've been doing, you were training people, but what changed it?
I do wear a lot of hats, and my story really started when I was a child. So I experienced some very difficult things as a child, and that led to me starting to sneak food and overeat at a super young age, put on a lot of weight, which led to, as happens often in elementary school, the bullying, the fat shaming, all the things. And I was very, very overweight for a lot of my early life, pretty much all of my child and teenage years. Then I discovered fitness and started working out around the age of 18, 19. And it gave me such a sense of power. It was another way to manage my emotions that wasn't related to food. And that felt really good to me. And I lost a bunch of weight. And I really wanted to help other people have that same transformation through fitness. So that was really where my journey started and what got me excited to go into the field of personal training and give other people that sense of power and freedom in their bodies and just more of a outlet for their emotions that wasn't the self-destructive one that I once had before fitness.
That's beautiful. I know, because it's such a hard thing, to get people motivated to actually get into the gym. And then, you start feeling good about yourself. And it's just little steps. Like I tell people when they want to join the gym, not to go full on, like they're going to be the 2 hours in the gym every day. It's really about being on the elliptical for 10 minutes and then maybe doing some reps, like 3 machines and then going home. And then just continue it, 3, 4, or 5 times a week. And then you start feeling better about yourself. And you're not, crunching. I've always been athletic, so I like to do some of that, but I know when even I lag, because you're thinking that everybody is like judging you in the gym. And they're actually not. They're only judging themselves. They're in their little bubbles. Everybody. It's really interesting. But go on, because you felt that the body shaming was still a large part of, even though you'd gotten slim and sleek and beautiful, it's still, we have to really soothe the inside, right?
Yes. I wanted to speak to one super important thing you just touched on, though, and that's the power of starting where you're at instead of jumping into this really extreme, crazy regime that's like impossible to keep up when you start. They have a name for, I don't know what they call them, but they call them like the New Year's resolution, like uh, cannon fodder or something. They have a name for it where like everybody goes in the new year, does these crazy workouts, hurts themselves, and then they don't work out again for another 3-4 weeks.
Right. It's the hurting yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So whenever starting, like they might not even want to go to a gym at first because they are self-conscious. So even just walking to start or doing some YouTube body weight stuff at home that's for beginners, just until you build up some of that confidence, that can make all the difference. And you're absolutely right. In terms of being fit, that came to me very easily after I'd put in enough workouts and enough repetitions. What I still struggled with was binge eating. I also had bulimia for 2-3 years back in my early 20s. A lot of body hate, never feeling like it was enough what I was doing. And a lot of feelings of like low self-worth, all these things that fitness helped with to a degree, but they weren't the entirety of what I needed. And also, as I learned from working in the personal training field for over 6 years, not the entirety of what my clients needed either. And that's what really inspired me to go deeper into my own personal work and my own spiritual journey, and just take that deeper dive and try to figure out what are my challenges with food, with weight, with body image, showing me about where my life needs to change and shift in general. And that was such an amazing journey.
Yeah. I know. Just because I know, just we fall off the wagon so many times in life and have to get back on that. We're going to go to the gym or we're going to walk, and I kind of do all of it. I go to the horses and I clean stalls and I, do the job of, we have a barn manager, but I still, do my part of helping, because I always hate to put my horses back in, a dirty stall. So do that, and then I go to the gym, and then I, walk the dogs. So I'm always like trying to overdo, like make sure, like if I miss the gym, then I'm walking the dogs. And I'm always getting at least my sunshine during the day, because I don't think of this scooping thing as really much exercise, even though it's good for you. It's not exercise.
It's not something that
Definitely.
they're going to do at the gym. It's like, okay, we're going
Oh,
to
it's more the CrossFit thing.
muck a
Yeah,
stall.
right.
I was
I,
going
I have a question, Kayla, as
Yeah.
far as like, because you were talking about the emotional aspects of, like bringing on, like, going to food, right, for comfort, for soothing, the emotional. Did the physical workout, did that soothe your emotional self, or was it still like there's still like a missing piece to that puzzle?
There was definitely still a missing piece. And I went to one counselor and I told her, when I am in a bad mood or something, I just try to exercise to make it go away, but it doesn't always work. And then I still binge eat sometimes. And she told me I was trying to use exercise to hold way too much. And what I've also learned is that certain outlets are more appropriate for certain emotions. For example, and this is just me personally, everyone is going to have their own specific experience. When I'm angry, that is when I get the most out of workouts. When I am feeling sad or stress, sometimes a really intense workout can make that stress worse. So then it comes down to, maybe I need to journal or walk or do yoga instead. Oftentimes when we're sad, that's honestly the emotion I have the hardest time with. You just need to let yourself go inwards into your cave and cry and like process those emotions so that you can move through them. So I believe that exercise can be a powerful tool for certain states, certain situations, and certain emotions, but it's not the entire toolbox.
Right. But that frustration, we need to, definitely, if you're frustrated about your body, you're just not feeling great, you're shaming yourself, you should be going to the gym. I mean, it's really, there's so many really inexpensive gyms these days too. The 1999 crunch gyms and stuff, to whereas, you don't have to spend a long time in there. And then not to think that everybody's judging you. Like I said, everybody's kind of in their own zone, you know. I mean, when I'm at the gym, I mean, nobody even says hi, really. Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody's in their own world, focused on themselves, focused on their workout. And that's something powerful to think about, is if you are having those kind of fears about other people judging you at the gym, put your experiences in there, because you are completely self-focused, worrying about what others are thinking of you. And they're probably having a similar experience, or they've been coming to the gym often enough that now that's just their time to get into their bodies and be with themselves. And they're not worried about what anybody else is doing. So.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
important to like desensitize yourself by just going in, doing it, getting comfortable with a routine, and not just living in your head so much.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that's a powerful strategy for anything that initially feels uncomfortable. I remember the first time I went for a run outside instead of on a treadmill, I was so nervous because there was cars driving by everywhere and they're gonna see me. After you do it the first time, it gets easier and easier. And it's gonna be the same, I think, regardless of any of the practices we're trying to incorporate that feel uncomfortable at first.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. And, I mean, I think that it's interesting, because I had a niece who really got heavy a couple years. And so she started doing an app, the Beachbody app. And so she started really exercising with that. Now she's in super great shape. And then everybody went along with her. And then I thought, oh my God, why are we all not in the gym, So everybody's now in the gym as far as my daughter, and we go together and it's so much fun to see her in the gym. We don't like work out together, but we see each other. And I think that the food, then you have to kind of get into the whole food thing, because like you're saying, the binging, the feeling that you can eat a lot more because, hey, you're in the gym, let's eat. And then you have to
Yes.
be really careful of that. So, so it's just like trying to keep on track. And my thing with food is, as a hypnotherapist, I believe in that you have to you have to really trick yourself all over the place. And so I do a lot of meditation, guided meditations, even my own, when I want to program. And I believe that you have to do them 60 to 90 times before they embed into your brain, so that you want to look good, you want to eat right, you want to exercise, you want to move your body. We are in a progressive state of optimal life at all times, and we must keep our health steady. So the thing is that I think that when we are food is in front of us, we feel that it loves us, and so we want that love. so so now I'm like, okay, it loves us, but I have to save some for somebody else too. Yeah.
Yes. And I think so often we use food as that symbolic substitute for so many different
Mm,
things. So you mentioned love. I know for me, a huge one was safety, because when I was a 6-year-old girl in a lot of troubling situations, 6-year-old girls don't have tools like meditation and working through
right.
their
They
emotions and
don't.
cognitive behavioral therapy. So when I like overate, I was in my little like hole and I could almost like numb out from the world for a little while. And that made me feel safe for that little period of time. So food can become that symbolic substitute for so many different things. And I think when we notice, what is food symbolizing for me? Is it love? Is it safety? Is it belonging? And we start to unpack that, we can start to heal that relationship and get those things from the areas where it's more real and more solid and more life-giving as well.
Yeah.
So you're saying that ice cream isn't life-giving?
Definitely
I think
not.
it's one of those things where I think if we it can be to a degree, and I think there's a really good analogy for this is ice cream can be a weapon or it can be a tool. So for example, if you are eating an entire carton of ice cream because you had a stressful day and just want to turn your brain off, you're going to feel like garbage the next morning and you're probably going to feel guilty you did that. But if you are on the beach in Mexico, I don't know if they have ice cream in Mexico, I've never been, but if you're on the beach in Mexico and they have this gourmet ice cream stand and you're with like your loved one and you both get like a little cone and you savor it and enjoy it, it's interesting. Those two situations, it might be the same food, ice cream, but because you're in a state of like gratitude and presence while eating that one ice cream cone, it's actually going to respond physiologically different in your body than it would if you were stressed and eating that ice cream in excess to numb out.
Right.
I
Yeah. So
understand
it's
that.
like the Emoto, how he, said about the water. I think it's the same thing about the food. That's why we bless the food, because when you bless the food, then it's the higher vibration of all of it, right? So
Definitely.
yeah, but you can still go far, because I have friends who like, let's bless these cookies. Yeah. 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 They don't have any calories. That's what we always say. But of course they
Blessing them negates the calories.
right.
Is that
Right.
how it works?
Right. It is. Yes. Yeah. Well, we know that it doesn't fully, but we definitely need to be conscious when we're eating, of course, too. And
That is a different way of, like responding to it, whether, because if again, if you're in a place of sadness, or that place of need, and your relationship with that food in that moment is, one of desperation, then that certainly changes the energy of, what Kayla was talking about, where you're in a place of gratitude. If you're, it's a treat more than it is a crutch.
yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And something that can be a powerful tool for anyone that's just trying to improve their health, both like physically and spiritually. Just to ask yourself, what is the purpose for eating this next meal or this next item of food? Is it for nourishment and energy? Is it a form of escape? Is it a form of self-soothing? And is this the best choice for me based on the reason I just gave? And that could give a person enough of a pause to be like, wow, I am about to eat this entire bag of chips because I'm mad and need to crunch on something. Is that really what I want to do? Or do I want to go angry clean something or go on an angry run? And that can create a different pattern if you ask those questions regularly enough.
Yeah. 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 No, and I think of, I try to eat 5 to 9 vegetables every day. So that's the thing of, okay, cooking it, preparing it, even if it's salad, making sure that the salad, I get a lot of vegetables in it. But and then not having a high sodium dressing, making sure that I'm like being good on the dressing and stuff. But, and making it fun, trying to keep it fun. Like I put a plum and some pomegranate seeds in a salad last night for dinner. Keep it fun.
Exactly. It's amazing the way you can spruce up a salad. I have one and it's a rainbow salad. So you're getting every single color of the rainbow in that one salad. So you've got a lot of variety. It's got like fruits and vegetables. And they always say like when you eat the rainbow, you're going to get all the nutrients you're looking for. So that's a really powerful strategy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, because you just have to trick yourself. Like this is fun. It's fun to eat salad. How about you, Jason? Don't you love to eat salad?
I do love my salads. I mean, I don't have any food allergies, knock on wood.
Yeah,
Where it's like, it's like I can eat a wide variety of things, and I don't like to just stick to one particular thing. I like the variety, and it's like my wife is Japanese, so we'll also dive into the various seaweeds, and the miso soups, and things that we didn't grow up with, Tara,
right.
as far as like in our household, but as far as like being able to sustain one's health and all, it's like it's like the Japanese live until like they're 100 years old.
Right. Right.
And
Everybody does. Yeah, because
some
they
of
eat so well.
that more stricter diet can, one can, I don't know that I want to live till 100, but if I get to 85, then I'll be happy, right? Then that'll
Well,
be
we want you to live to 100, Jason.
I don't know if I want to, it's like I already look like I'm like 100.
You do not. But maybe you need to get in the gym. Jason was,
I don't go to the gym. No, I'm not
I
actually.
know.
Yeah,
So you won't go to the gym. Yeah, see, it's some people are so resistant to the gym, but Jason, used to have so many trophies from being on a tennis team. I mean, he was on a tennis team for years.
yeah,
The
yeah. That's good.
trophies were, I mean, he had one every week. a tennis trophy.
Sounds like someone's a
But
little jealous.
I am. I love playing tennis too. Yes, but no, it was really great. It was really great, and he always had a six pack. So Jason, you got to work on that again.
Okay, I'll after we're done with this episode. So Kayla, do
Right.
you find that in your own journey, like making that switch, right? Making either cultivating the awareness of how it is that you're looking to change up how it is that you like satisfy either your emotions or again, instead of like overindulging with food and all. Was that switch, that shift in yourself, was that like a slow process, or was it like a light bulb going off in your head saying, oh, if I do this, then I can totally change this?
Honestly, was a lot of failure strung together, a lot of learning, a lot of trying different things, multiple counselors. This was honestly like my biggest burden and my biggest struggle from the age of like 6 to about 30. And there was one time at the end of 2019 where I was on a call with another coach who specialized in helping people with binge eating. And he asked me what I was doing at the time. And I told him, I have this counselor I'm seeing. She gave me this process to work through my emotions instead of using food. And he asked if that was working. And I said, it works when I remember to do it. And he said, do you think that that strategy will ultimately solve your binge eating problem? And I said, well, I really, really hope it does. And he called me on that. He said that hope was actually a cop out and kept me from going all in on that strategy and playing full out and choosing to figure out how to make it work for me. And that was my light bulb moment, I guess you could say. So I was like, I'm going to use this process every single day. This is my lead domino. I'm going to get consistent in this. So I started journaling about my emotions every single day, even on the days where things were pretty decent. And then the pandemic happened. And I was so glad I'd built this tool going into that super stressful time. And the crazy thing is, during that time, I know a lot of people talked about their COVID-15, all these things. I actually lost about 15 pounds during that time. And then I also, just by doing this journaling on a regular basis, I also realized at that time that I was about to marry the wrong person. And that was just like a lot to deal with. So again, it was so helpful to have these tools in place to help me move through that big transition and all the emotions that came with that.
Great. So you didn't marry the wrong person then?
I did not.
Good.
Yes.
Yes, because that can, a lot of people, they do, that you're not making clear choices about food. You're definitely not making clear choices about, people in your life.
And I think another thing that will happen so often for people is the food and the weight stuff. It's frustrating. It causes a lot of irritation and like self-doubt. And also, it's often easier to deal with than the things it's covering up. So I truly believe that to a large degree, that habit of eating and obsessing about my weight kept me from really noticing that while this person was an amazing person, we did not align long term with our goals, with our values. And it wasn't in either of our best interest to get married and have that long term commitment.
Right.
Yeah, it's not an easy choice, to make, but sometimes if you're equipped with more of the right tools, you can just work through it. And the pandemic would be a terrible time to like be thrown in with someone that you're bound to, and it's like, oh my God, it's like we're not aligned. But we're seeing a lot of each other. Right. Stuck at home.
And I think that was an interesting thing as well, because pre-pandemic, we both had very different schedules. So we can decide we actually didn't see a lot of each other. And then when you do have a lot more time together and a lot more quiet time to just be with your thoughts, you start to notice things and they become bigger red flags, and you're able to make more conscious decisions when you give yourself that pause and that slow down.
Yeah, I think so too. So what are the three steps that you feel a person can turn their health journey into a spiritual journey?
I love talking about this. So step one is turning your focus from problem solving to creating. And I think this is huge for people who struggle with their weight, with binge eating, with emotional eating. They're very focused on what they consider to be the problem. They're the weight they want to lose, the eating habits that aren't supporting their goals. And when you're constantly focused on what's wrong and what you're trying to fix, that's going to keep you in a very low vibrational state. And also, what we focus on expands. So you're actually going to get more of that problem by trying to fix a problem. And when you instead shift to realizing you're a powerful creator and you can create whatever it is you want to create, and you cultivate that clarity around how you want to eat, how you want to manage your emotions, how you want your body to perform, and you get into that creative space, it's going to feel better. It's going to feel expansive. And because you're focusing on what you want, you're going to get more of that. And the great thing about that is when you shift towards creating, all those like quote unquote problems you had will take care of themselves just because you've shifted how you're approaching things. So that's step one.
Yeah, I love that. Love step one. Step two.
Step two is being able to hold space for your emotions and manage them without food. And this one is so big for people, and it's honestly my favorite because I think we live in this world where emotions are often seen as bad or negative or harmful because we see examples of people overexpressing their emotions, which can be harmful. If anyone ever gets told, like, you're so emotional, that tends to have a negative connotation, when really emotions are actually guideposts that are pointing us in very clear directions. And when we resist them, a couple things can happen. One is they're still going to be stuck inside our body, and that can lead to health problems, that can lead to like a low energy, or we're going to try and distract from those emotions with things that aren't helpful, whether that's food, drugs, alcohol, shopping. And when we can instead decide, I'm going to invite every emotional experience into my life and become practiced at moving through it and processing it in a way that feels healthy and sustainable and expansive, then you build your capacity to hold any emotional experience and move through it with a lot more grace. And you can also gain a lot more wisdom when you start to look at your emotions in this way instead. So that is step two.
Okay, I love it. Love it. So what's step three?
So step three is uncovering the subconscious reasons why you might not want to transform your health or your eating.
Right.
And this is big. So I know for me, there were a lot of like subconscious reasons that I've uncovered about why I did not actually want to get to a certain level of health. For a very long time, and still to a certain degree, I have like a trigger weight that feels harder to get underneath. So that just means there's still work to do. So one of the big reasons I personally, subconsciously, after doing this work, didn't want to get too healthy or too fit is because I was worried about outshining the rest of my family members. So I have two sisters who both struggle with their health to quite a large degree. And then my mom actually had a really big breakdown of her health after a few challenging things happened to me in my childhood. So as a child, I almost like internalized that and made it my fault. And my mom still struggles with these health challenges to this day. So there was a big part of me that was like, who am I to get too healthy? Who am I to get too fit when all my other family members have these struggles?
Trying to belong. Yeah.
Belonging, that's a huge one. I think that's another one that comes up for many people is sometimes, and I've been guilty of this myself, is thinking that people who are super fit and super lean and super healthy are almost vain or stuck up.
Right, right. And you can't be what you resist.
Exactly. So I've had to do a lot of work around that in my own journey. And I remember,
Yes.
it's funny you mentioned Beachbody. So I was actually doing one of their workout programs, and there was this one girl on there, and she was super fit, and she was just like killing the workouts. And I was kind of like a little jealous, resentful of her at first. And I was kind of like, who does she think she is? And then I checked myself, and I'm like, and she's worked really hard to get where she is, and she's done amazing. And if I keep judging that, then I'm never going to get to that place with my own health and fitness. So I started just like appreciating her and being like, you go, girl, you're like so ripped. This is awesome. I'm going to like use the heavier band just like you are. Let's do this. And it's amazing how that changes the experience. And it's something that I think a lot of women struggle with, is that like envy or jealousy. And like you said, we can't become something we resent or judge to that large of a degree.
Right. I used to, well, I always had worked out with a woman. She was fabulous. Her name was Debbie Feldman, and she was a Tasmanian devil. I mean, she was a dancer, and all stars would have her coach them, but she had a home class, and I was in her home class for, I don't know, 20 years. And so she was like fabulous to work out with in it, but she never let us, we'd come and we'd like, we wanted croissants and, coffee when we come to. And she'd be like, everybody be quiet. You're working out. So I got into the mode of a person being kind of in charge. So that was, I think, of a woman in charge. Like, she's already ripped and she's made it, so you're gonna emulate her a little bit. So then I started with Denise Austin, and she has all sorts of uh God, at the time they were VHS tapes. So I would work out with her kickboxing tapes. And those were just like fabulous, because I realized, like hot yoga and kickboxing were the way to go if you really wanted to get in perfect shape. But they weren't hardcore. They were just the exercise versions of that. And so and then I really liked some of the metaphysical type of things, like you used air to bring down that you have enough air to breathe. And I didn't find too many of those, but there were a couple that I really liked. But so I would do it at home, and then I would do it at my class with Debbie. And but that's just it, I think that the imperfection of perfection is where we want to be anyway, because nobody's body is perfect. We're kind of all organic beings, and we were born the way we are, and it stopped comparing to everyone else and just be good and healthy. So
I think that's a really important point to make, because I think oftentimes there's this pattern in a health and fitness journey for many people, to withhold that sense of acceptance and appreciation for their body until they get here. But the journey is always going to inform the destination. So if you're constantly chasing this external thing to make you feel a certain way, it's going to fall really flat, because at the end of the day, we are the generators of our emotions, and we're just using that external thing as a permission slip to feel a certain way. And when we decide, regardless of what I weigh today, regardless of how my pants fit, I accept myself now, I appreciate myself now, we take different actions from that place of acceptance and appreciation, versus I'm not there yet, I'm still too much this, too much that, so I might as well just go eat the bag of Doritos today, or whatever it might be.
Oh yeah, not Doritos. Doritos, I have to tell a funny story about Doritos. Doritos, I had an Irish and an English roommates when I was in my early 20s. And we shared this house. And every day Seamus would bring home Jane. I don't know him anymore, so don't even know their last name if they're together or anything. But anyway, he'd bring her a whole bag of Doritos, Doritos. And it'd be like that was his present to her, and she loved it. And I watched Jane go from a size 3 to a size, 12 in a couple months. It was terrible from just those alone, just the Doritos. Yeah. So no, not a lot of Doritos, everybody. They're mad at me now for no. Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that as well, because I think that's something a lot of relationships can benefit from navigating. Because I think sometimes we buy our partners these treats, or our partners buy us these treats.
They do.
As a way of showing their love, when it actually kind of takes away from our goals, our energy, our vitality. And then there's that sense of guilt, and you don't want to tell your partner because it's coming from that really good place.
Yeah. Potato chips and candy bars at night. Let's go sit in front of our TV at night. Yeah, that's kind of not the time to even do that.
I mean, you say it
maybe
comes
once
from
a month, maybe every Friday night have some, yeah.
I can also see it as it comes from a place of emotional need from a partner too, to be accepted, to be loved, to want to fill kind of their own cup with that. And so, I mean, that's where, the other partner doesn't, hopefully they're cultivating awareness too, so that they don't fall into that trap of, if my wife bought me chocolate every day, it's like, oh, I love you for it. But, is that going to be good for me? It's like, it's like I have to like say, you know what? It's like, you don't have to do this. I don't have to have this. But they were young, right? Early 20s. It's like, you don't think about,
they were young and in love. They were very much in love.
Is that part of the spiritual aspects of it, Kayla, as far as like the, where one cultivates the wisdom, about what is ultimately good for, their own body and how they're navigating their emotions, and, seeing it as integrative, seeing it as that whole being, part of yourself, rather than it just being the physical, a workout.
Definitely. So it's interesting, Tara, that you mentioned the 4 elements, because I love to work in that realm. So there is the physical, the earth element. So what you're eating, how you're working out, how you're resting. Then there is air, which is more of your mental. So the beliefs you have about food, about your body, about life, the meanings you're creating. Then there is that emotional piece. So how you're processing your emotions, what emotions you're feeling on a regular basis. And then there is all that spiritual stuff, that bigger picture. And then also looking at the whole person, because we are not just what we're eating and training in a vacuum. And I think relationships are a huge part of that. And I learned a lot from my previous relationship about how not to show up, because they would do the same thing. They would buy me the pastries and they would buy me the desserts, or they would wait till I'd come home from a long day of work after I'd eaten really healthy all day, and they'd be like, can we go to Tim Hortons and buy Timbits? And I was like, I don't really want to. And they would get sad, and they were like, but I waited all night for you to come home, to come with me.
Wait, what are Timbits?
Oh yeah, you guys were American. So Timbits, they have, so Tim Hortons is a donut place. So Timbits are like the little donut holes at the inside of the donut.
Ooh, no. Yeah.
So what I learned.
No, bring it on. Bring on the Timbits.
Right? But they're not on a crazy regular basis. So what I learned
right, of course,
in like my new relationship, that's like my soulmate relationship, so good, is that I didn't want to repeat those challenges. So it's communicating up front what does or doesn't work for me. And fortunately, our love languages are both the same. It's like physical touch and quality time. So food gifts don't even need to be a part of that. And then we've really made an intention of like walking after dinner, going and doing yoga together, doing things that together that are going to make us feel good, instead of just like eating on the couch at the end of a long day.
Right. But it's interesting, the marketing Timbits, they're so small, right? It's just the whole part. It's like, it's not going to, You have to eat
Right.
a lot of them for it to like negatively affect you.
Yeah,
And
As you eat a
it's
whole bag of them,
right.
exactly. It's actually
I got
funny. They actually like because Justin Bieber's Canadian, they now have like Tim Biebs, which are like Timbits he invented. Like it's the
That's
marketing for stuff sometimes.
hilarious. Right.
Yes.
Right.
what is your opinion on poutine?
I honestly, that's not one of the foods I would gravitate to if I was having like a treat. I'm
Yeah.
more of a sweet person versus savory. I've eaten a poutine, they're good. They wouldn't be the first thing I'd go to. And I don't know if that makes me a bad Canadian or not, but
Potentially.
yes,
Potentially. Don't run for office.
I will not.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know what poutines are.
So it's French fries, covered in gravy and then melted cheese curds on top.
Oh, well, yeah. No, I've loved
It's
that
like the,
when
the
I have
national
it.
food.
Yeah.
It's the national food
Yes.
of Canada.
Yeah. I've had it for sure, but
Mhm.
I didn't know what it was called.
Sure,
Yes.
Timbits are
Yes.
probably a second, though, a close second to the national food.
Right.
Tim Hortons is very Canadian.
Wow. Wow. But it's like that mindset, right? Of like, if I do a certain food, it's going to, bring me comfort. It's going to ease my soul, and it's like that is something that, to a point, it's like, food is, we get nutrition from food, right? It's like it is essential that we have it. But in excess, when our emotions are too tied to it, and it sounds like, it's like what you're working with. Do you work with clients? How is it that, because you're doing a podcast, what's all the information on that?
Yeah. What is your information? Thank you,
So
Jace.
I have a podcast called the Slay and Thrive podcast, which is all about, so that Slay and Thrive is like masculine and feminine energy together. And it really is about helping people transform their body and their mind through spiritual growth. So that's how I just love to create a lot of value for people, whether they're clients or not, because I know not everybody's ready to be someone's client. And I just want to help as many people as possible. Um, I also do have a signature program called Mind Body Mastery. And that's where I take my clients through that 3-step process I shared with both of you. So those 3 steps. And that includes special assessments for them. We go into like dynamic eating psychology. We make it very personal to them. And then it does include energy healing sessions as well. And then I asked a book coming out. And that's another way just to help as many people as possible. And that is Your Body is Not a Weapon: Healing a Fractured Relationship to Food, Physique, and Sexuality. So it really takes people inside those 3 arenas. There's journal prompts, there's activation so they can really integrate the things that I talk about. And yeah, my goal is just to ensure that my struggles with my own weight, eating, body image are not in vain, and that I can go forth and pay it forward and help other people, because I know this is one of probably the biggest struggles for women.
Yeah.
So
And men too, because I've had a lot of men around me that struggle with body image. Yeah.
it's like the classic journey of the healer.
Yeah.
It's like where you take your own experience, and like you said, you move it forward. You allow others to hopefully learn from it, and to glean insight for themselves, so that because one can feel like they're alone in it, in that struggle, and if they recognize it, then then they can start to get out of themselves a bit, enough to start to do the work.
Yes, and I think that's what my goal really is. And honestly, this book I'm coming out with is really scary, some of the stuff I'm sharing. And also, I know it's really important because there's other people who are that same like rock bottom, almost like valley of despair, where they're like, I'm so far into like my unhealthy habits. How am I ever going to get out? How am I ever going to heal some of this?
Right.
And when they see someone else who's very, it's so scary to share some of this, but when they're willing to do that and sacrifice their own kind of like comfort zone and
Right.
to just show people that even if it is really dark right now, there is a way out. And I believe it's through those struggles that I've created so much joy and expansion in my life now. And now I appreciate it more because I had all those darker moments.
Yeah.
You can talk about the scary stuff. It's Halloween season, right?
Well, that would take a whole nother podcast episode, I think.
Right. Well, we'll have to have you back on.
Yeah, it has been
Great.
so great getting to connect with both of you.
It is. It's really great. Great to meet you, Kayla.
Yes,
And
you too.
yeah, and I'm excited for your journey. Yeah, being a healer and a therapist.
And an author and a podcaster and all of these things
And a
that
blogger. Yeah.
go along with it these days. What's your website?
So the official website is still on the bucket list to create. I do have my podcast website, which is slayandthrive.buzzsprout.com. I'm also on like Instagram, Facebook, at Kayla Van Egdom, super easy to find.
So Slay, SLAY, and Thrive podcast.
.buzzsprout.com.
Buzzsprout?
So that's just podcast hosting platform that I use. I know there's a bunch of different ones. I think you use iHeartRadio, it sounds like.
Yes.
But I'm just clarifying it. It's Buzz and then Sprout, right? SPROUT.
Yes. So I'll
Okay.
actually put it in here for you.
Fantastic.
Just like
yeah,
that.
but I'm on all the platforms.
Mhm.
So it's good.
Perfect.
Slay
goes out.
and Thrive at
That's
buzzsprout.com. Fantastic.
Perfect. Perfect. And then Kayla Van Egdom, it's KaylaVanegdom for Instagram and Facebook, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. You're not on TikTok or any of the others?
Funny you mentioned TikTok. That is actually on my bucket list to start.
I've started finally, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It's so out of my comfort zone to like make videos of myself, but I know that it's a powerful medium that can get more of my message out. So I'm going to get outside of my comfort zone and do the hard thing, just like going to the gym for the first time and the second time.
That's right.
That is the process. That's the process of cracking open.
Right. And a lot of people think it's really expensive to eat, healthy, but in reality, it's much easier to, grab an apple or grab a lettuce. It is cheaper in the long run for everybody. Yeah. Because it is funny.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't let any, like monetary finances or anybody fool you that it's not good for you, just to go ahead and start. Because it's about starting.
Yes, for sure. And I love that you mentioned that financial component, because there are very budget-friendly ways to make healthy eating work, especially if there's a little bit of time to do some planning and some prep in advance.
Right. And there's so many good, on Instagram, there's so many great recipes out there. And I'm a real advocate of no sodium, really, so low sodium. So you can have 1400 milligrams of sodium a day, but you keep it, people are eating much, much more sodium than that. And it's really hard on your body. So
yes,
if you can keep it low. And I'm not so much sure if it's the Himalayan salt, but I'm still, not, be too crazy on any of it.
There are qualities of salts, different levels. There's, salts that are better for you than not.
Yeah, but I've been to Pritikin. Really, it's not. Yeah, you got to be careful if you want good health.
Yes.
We want good health, everybody. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you, Kayla, for being on the show today. Good luck with everything. Yeah.
You too.
And you can find Jason at jasondmckean.com, JASOND McKean, MCKEAN.com. And he's on Instagram and
Facebook.
Are you on Twitter?
I am not. I don't care
Okay.
for Twitter. I am not on TikTok, like performing my dance moves.
But it would be nice to see you.
I'm holding back on that from the world. Maybe that's if I like get out of my comfort zone at some point, I'll do that.
Right. Yes. And you can find me at Tara Insight, TaraInsight. And I just came back from Sedona. It was a fabulous trip with my group, my seminar there. And so, I'll be, arranging another one, maybe in March or April, and maybe some more seminars, because I have a lot of venues that are asking me to do seminars at them. So I'll think about it. Let's go. So thanks, Kayla.
Excellent.
Okay, lots of love, everybody.
Kayla,
Blessings.
great job. Blessings.
Yes.
You too.
Okay.